And welcome to Lon Goldstein Field. Fort Worth Cats baseball just getting underway here. The Fort Worth Cats taking on the Tyler Roughnecks. And José Guzmán on the mound for the first time since July the 14th. Starts off Jose Colon with a strike. And Will, this is an important game for Fort Worth, not for the standings, but they want to see how José Guzmán will do coming off his injury.
Exactly. I was about to get you to allude to that. So people know he has been hurt, so tonight is a good test for him to see what he's going to be able to do come playoffs here, which is right around the corner.
Guzmán throws his first ball to go with 2 strikes. Guzmán comes in still leading the league in ERA with a minuscule 1.42. His record 5-1, 57 innings pitched. See his stats there.
And they're going to need him too come playoffs, Rush. You know, they've got pretty decent pitchers on the staff, but Guzmán is the ace.
Playoffs are right around the corner. The Cats have clinched a spot. They are locked into the 4th seed in the playoffs.
Which is not a good, that's not a bad spot for them, though.
It means you get to go to Baton Rouge instead of driving to Albany, Georgia. So that is certainly something that they can, stack their hopes on. But the way the playoffs work in this league, the first round is played all at the home of the higher seed.
Right.
So Fort Worth, being the 4th seed, will play all 3 if there are that many games in Baton Rouge. Tyler, who's the 3rd seed, has to travel to Albany, Georgia for their 3 games. There are a fair amount of Tyler fans here wanting to see the last Roughneck regular season game, since Fort Worth certainly a much easier trip from Tyler than Albany, Georgia.
I agree. I came out to last night's game, and the Tyler fans are a little rowdy, to say the least.
Tony Jaramillo celebrating his 21st birthday today. That is a single. He's trying for 2. Wood's throw bounced past Juan Infante. Had that throw been on line, Infante's got a good chance to tag him out.
The Cats got behind early last night, Rush, but they ended up getting the bats warm about midway through the 2nd inning, and when they took over the game, of course, it got rained out, but
it went long. It went 5, and it counted.
You got to count it.
Michael Kirkpatrick stepping in, the number 3 hitter. This is a guy that has some great power numbers overall, and especially against Fort Worth this year. On the season, hitting .294, 9 home runs, and 37 RBI. Guzmán with that wicked bender. And so far, although he left a pitch out in front for Jaramillo, Guzmán has shown flashes. That one hit high, kind of in between areas. 3 men coming on. It's going to be Darren Wood.
It's going to take Guzmán a couple of innings to shake a little bit of rust off, but he'll be okay.
Well, what's so great about Guzmán is when he gets into a rhythm, he just keeps the hitters off balance, as he did with Kirkpatrick there.
No doubt.
And he threw him the curve, came back with another off-speed pitch, and he has already thrown his fastball past Colon, so they know he's got the heat working tonight.
That's right.
And so despite the double by the second batter, Guzmán showing some things. Another dangerous hitter up, however, Malvin Matos. Has not been with Tyler all year, but he's hitting .389 in 108 at-bats, which is certainly plenty of at-bats to figure out if a guy can do it. And he's played in 27 of Tyler's games, 6 home runs, 30 ribbies. First inning, we're scoreless. 1 strike count to Matos. And he was way out in front of that.
Throwing at him right now.
So far, so good. Guzmán opposed tonight by Jeff Ware, so a couple of pitchers on the mound tonight with major league experience. Guzmán not necessarily expected to go more than 3 innings. They are really kind of testing him out to see how healthy he is. That one got away from Andy Ortmeyer.
Got him. Oh, man.
That was tight.
Yeah.
Jaramillo gets to third.
Guzzi's throw in the dirt and wide. It's away from Ortmeyer to the right.
Andy Ortmeyer with a pretty good throw there, Will.
I thought he had it.
Sliding safely just under the throw.
But now a runner on third base, 2 outs. Matos a 1-2 count. And Guzmán would enjoy a nice strikeout here. He's got to be careful, though. And a slow grounder to Infante, who boots it.
That's what they didn't need.
Well, an unearned run there.
And you could tell he just completely relaxed on that. It was so routine for him. He just knew he had it.
6th unearned run that Guzmán has given up. And that hurts.
Before we say he just botched it too horribly, you got to remember the infield here.
He looked like he took that kind of casually, Will.
Yeah, he did.
There's a wild pitch on court. Matos going to
That one got away from Ortmeyer also. So now a runner in scoring position. Dan Ramirez, the hitter.
safe on the second wild pitch issued by Guzzi.
Couple of wild pitches for Guzmán here.
You know, you kind of expected him to do a little bit of this, Rush.
Scoring position.
He only had 1 wild pitch all season before those 2.
Last night everything happened with 2 outs. Dirt.
Ramirez, a 274 hitter. 2 home runs, 29 RBI this season.
Caught stealing and Garcia struck out. Then Matos tripling.
That one in the dirt, 2-0 count to Ramirez.
Hit the third that was kicked around. Pitch to Ramirez.
So Jaramillo with a 1-out double.
Right-handed hitter.
Guzmán a wild pitch got him to third, and then the Infante error.
Second, the pitch home, and that one's
Went with the heat that time, but a 3-0 count.
to Ramirez. 2-0 for 3. Danny at 274. 2 homers, 29 runs batted in.
2 outs here for Guzmán.
Right here. There's a
And another off-speed pitch. This time Cuero will get to Austrey. So Fort Worth gives up an unearned run, but Guzmán shows some form.
Exactly.
We will take a quick break. We'll be back in a moment. You're watching Fort Worth Cats baseball here on CCT. Jeff Ware on the mound pitching to Darren Wood. He starts him off with ball 1. Wood hitting at .231, 3 home runs, 30 RBI. He has played in 56 games, former TCU and Alabama star. And Wood, this one should get out of play, and it does. Jeff Ware comes in 3-4 tonight, a 4.21 ERA. 51 in the third innings pitched. He's appeared in 9 games, 8 of which have been starts, and has struck out 36 batters. That one way inside.
Way inside. We got a pretty good little crowd here tonight, too.
Wood on the season now, 231.
There you have really come in here, especially down the right field line.
Exactly.
As we mentioned, the ranks swelled a bit by some Tyler fans who made the trip. Wood bounces to short. Johnson retires him. This will bring up Mark Austrey playing first base tonight. Austrey not in the lineup last night. Comes in hitting .264, and he has raised his average significantly over the past month. Good sign for the Cats as they head in the playoff. Fisted there, that's going to be an easy play for Ryan Johnson. Johnson playing his first game at shortstop tonight, and he's had 2 relatively easy chances to get started.
Another thing I've noticed about the Cats, the bats on this team start slow, Rush. they just get off to a slow start. They have to have a little pressure on them. Once they get behind, then they want to play.
Jeff Ware comes in. We mentioned he has some major league experience, spent parts of 2 seasons with the Toronto Blue Jays. As you might imagine, he also has experience at the AAA level. He spent 97 with the Tucson Toros. And then he has spent the past 3 seasons in independent leagues similar to the All-American Association. The Atlantic City Surf for a couple years and the Aberdeen Arsenal in the Atlantic League.
Misses with the first pitch to him, and here comes the second. And that one misses the inside.
Ed Campanello, now good count for him. Campanello's 286 hitter. He has gone long 3 times, 31 RBI. That one catching the inside corner, strike 1 to Campanello.
Now, somewhere during the course of the game, Rush, we'll discuss a little bit about your own personal feelings of what you've seen them do with this team this year for it to be a first-year club. What you sort of think about it. You know, we did talk to Pete and got his thoughts on what they plan on doing for the future and what he thought about this season, but kind of see where you want to go with this.
Well, you know, I will tell you this. If I'm Baton Rouge, I'm not real excited about seeing Fort Worth come in.
That's true.
They have handled Fort Worth relatively well. The 2 teams meeting in the last couple weeks, but Fort Worth a dangerous team.
That's what I was going to say. Come playoff time, though, the intensity level goes up, and anything can happen. And you'd hate to be Baton Rouge, have such a good season, and then get knocked out by a 4th-place team. But it happens, though. So, you know, they're going in scared to death.
Pitching depth can be less important in the playoffs.
You got Pat Hannon with a big stick in his hands, 341. There goes Campanello.
Campanello will steal second.
Ooh.
If Johnson had not leaped and got that ball, it would have been going into the outfield.
11th stolen base for Campanello, and now Pat Hannon, Cat's top hitter, has a runner in scoring position. 2 outs. Hannon has driven in 52 runs this season. Second in the league in hitting at 341. And a 1-ball count to him. And that one caught the outside corner apparently. It's 0-2. Apparently he called the first pitch a strike, fooling all of us up here in the press box.
Definitely.
And Hannon pulled that foul.
See, that strike zone is a tricky thing.
It can be.
You never know where it's going to be.
Mark Lewis, our plate umpire tonight. Steve Smith on the base pads.
Most of the players these days wearing the pants down low.
Jeff Ware has not beaten Fort Worth this year. 0-2, 4.42 ERA against the Cats. Hannon reached for that one, staying alive. And you wonder if Hannon now thinks, well, I've got to expand that strike zone a little bit. That a pitch he might not normally have swung at.
Exactly.
And kind of a defensive swing, but it keeps him in the box. Campanello at second after a walk and a stolen base. A curveball. And that one had some movement on it, but Hannon able to lay off. 1-2 the count.
The big blue numbers on the back.
Cuero next if Hannon reaches.
I'm sure the folks at home are hearing a little bit of the radio broadcast is sitting right next to us.
Yep, one of the, perhaps not, one of the fun things about a press box situation like this is everybody's all bunched up together.
Looks back, the pitch home, outside.
Ball 2.
Goes full on Pat Hannon after getting ahead 1-2.
Hannon, of course, played at Texas Wesleyan. San Antonio Roosevelt product. All-state there a couple of years.
He's had a pretty good season too, right?
No question. He started a little slow getting used to the league, and then he got real hot.
As soon as we get to talking about him, he goes down swinging.
48th strikeout of the year for Hannon. He is down swinging. And Fort Worth leaves a runner in scoring position. Pedro Cuero will lead off the second. And Guzmán will come out for a second inning of work when we return. You're watching Fort Worth Cats baseball here on CCT.
Places.
That's usually the way it works, though. Okay.
And we're back. Top of the second here at Goldstein Field. Matt Baird will be the hitter. 287 average this season, 4 home runs, and 19 RBI.
I'm at the far right. All right, bye. Gotta go.
Guzmán out for a second inning of work. They predict he will not go more than 3 tonight. Nobody up in the bullpen yet, but they want to limit his exposure. He is pitching in his 9th game this season. And keep in mind, too, one of the reasons Guzmán no longer in the major leagues is injury problems, not his stuff. And so far he has shown some of the stuff, and to this point, none of the injury problems. Ball one, or strike one to Baird.
José Guzmán rocks and fires, and this is outside. It's 1-1.
Evens the count. Baird also just celebrated a birthday 5 days ago, turning 22, or 24, excuse me.
24? A lot of young players in this league.
No question. No question. Played in the Frontier League and the Northern League last year. So a veteran of the Independent League situation. 1-2 to Baird.
But that's what I was going to say about the age of these guys. They're young guys, but they're veteran players, though. They've been around a little while.
A lot of the guys, especially guys that get drafted out of high school, they bounce around an organization for a little while, and on the outside corner, Guzmán gets his first strikeout. And this will bring up Brad Stevens.
There's the first strikeout for José Guzmán.
I told you Guzmán would find his stride.
So far, so good. Stevens
Here comes Brad Stevens.
in the lineup last night, 1 for 2.
First over at third base. He looks at a first pitch
Curveball missed. Catcher Caraway on deck.
You can see the bulk of
Guzmán
the padding. There's a
and
swing.
the off-speed pitch.
Yeah, with this being the last regular season game for the team here tonight, at least here, they got a lot of interesting stuff going on between innings.
They even did before the game where a couple renewed their wedding vows.
But you wouldn't want a straight cat marrying you, would you, wish?
Apparently it didn't faze them. They seemed overjoyed, Will. Quite content.
Oh, man.
Number of the pitchers in this league, simply because he knows how to pitch instead of just throw. 1-2 pitch to Stevens.
Guzmán,
The dirt wide.
off-speed pitch outside.
You know, we've got one of our old colleagues up here in the booth with us tonight. He's doing a little newspaper work.
Richard Durrett covering the game for the Dallas Morning News.
Exactly. I know the fans miss Richard.
I'm sure they do.
You and I do.
Pretty good effect on the scene here.
2-2 count
Earlier than normal. 1-2.
and a full count now to Stevens.
I'm feeling the love.
Guzmán, of course, spent several years in the majors. Rangers and Cubs were his teams.
3 balls, 2 strikes. Guzmán looks in, shakes one off. Here's the payoff pitch.
And a fastball punches him out. Second strikeout looking in this inning.
He was trying to get him a little sneaky walk down the first baseline. Didn't work out for him.
Stevens sure did think it was a walk. But
K is looking, and the Roughnecks send up Doug Caraway to hit.
they will have to deal with the punch out. He thought the ball was low. And fairly expansive strike zone tonight.
Yeah, that strike zone is going to be shaky. Oh, boy. You have a lot of complaining about that tonight as we go on.
Well, given that this game is doesn't necessarily mean anything from a standing standpoint, Caraway with a single.
And Caraway gets ahead. Number 2.
Caraway
For the young man.
2 for 10 on the season now. And just went with that pitch. Pretty good piece of hitting by Caraway.
Definitely.
And now the number 9 hitter, Ryan Johnson, playing shortstop tonight, steps in.
Going into that plate appearance now, it's not often you can raise your batting average 89 points with 1 hit. But that's what he just did.
Johnson, 246 hitter, has not homered, 14 RBI this season. Johnson in the lineup last night went 0 for 2. That one trying to find a hole, and Infante will retire him at first base.
Definitely.
Or at second base, excuse me. So that ends the top of the second inning. Cats get out with 1 hit, but no runs, and we will take a break. You're watching Fort Worth Cats baseball here on CCT.
You are watching community cable television, tuned into Fort Worth.
Welcome back to Goldstein Field. Cats trailing by an unearned run. And they will try to get something started with the 5, 6, and 7 hitters. Cuero, Wilden, and Ortmeyer.
Hey, this is usually the point of the game when the Cats' bats usually get warm right here.
That's right. They have been held without a hit. 1 base runner, Ed Campanello, reached on a walk in the first. Stole second, but Hannon left him there. So Fort Worth will bring Cuero to the plate. And this is certainly not somebody any pitcher likes to see.
I believe not.
Cuero, a 326 batter. That's 5th in the league, 91 hits. He has homered 13 times, tied for 1st in the league. This game originally could have decided 3rd place. Fort Worth, had they beaten Tyler tonight, would have forced the Roughnecks into a makeup game with Tennessee to determine who would finish in 3rd and who would finish in 4th. Tennessee elected to forfeit that game to Tyler, making it a moot point. So there are not too many mysteries tonight as far as the standings, but it will be curious to see how Fort Worth juggles their pitchers. Tyler as well. I mean, you've got a situation for both sides where you've got playoff games coming up.
Definitely.
And with Guzmán on the mound, it allows you to rest one of your other starters. So you can juggle your starting rotation how you want to for the 3 games or 2 games in Baton Rouge. Cuero gonna bunt for a base hit.
And you know the fans want them to win this game, of course. They don't care about winning for the playoffs. They just want to win.
Well, if he lays that down, he reaches.
Exactly, he makes it.
No question about that. And they are not really buying into it. Corner infielder still playing pretty deep. Not expecting a second bunt attempt. They will give him the single. 0-2 now to Cuero. Cuero, 2nd in the league in slugging percentage at .559. Not somebody you particularly, maybe you don't mind seeing him try to lay one down if you're the Roughnecks. Keep him out of one of those 22 doubles or 13 home runs. That one only went about 55 feet. So a 1-2 count.
Caraway is having a little trouble holding on to the ball.
Well, Ortmeyer did earlier as well. This field is not exactly known for the consistency of its dirt.
Yeah, that's true.
We saw Infante have the error earlier, and Cuero swings through a high pitch. That was likely ball 2, but
yeah,
Cuero saw that high fastball and couldn't lay off. Wielden will step in. He's playing in right field tonight. Has seen a lot of time at DH this season. He's another guy that has picked up his hitting pace a bit, up to 279 with the average. Has not homered, but has driven in 14. Another mid-season pickup for Jim Gentile and the Cats. A 372 on-base percentage for him. This one muffed by Brad Stevens, could not recover in time to throw out a hustling Wielden. They will give Stevens an error. Cats still without a hit, but with their second base runner. And Andy Ortmeyer, the catcher, will get a chance to hit with 1 out. Ortmeyer, another guy who has come on a little bit offensively. We want to welcome now to the mic Richard Durrett, back on the CCT airwaves or cable waves or whatever we call them. Richard, welcome.
Rush, how are you?
I'm very well. Tell us about your impressions so far of the Cats and what you're seeing.
Well, this has been a tough start for them so far, but this is interesting. This league is interesting. I've been learning about it a little bit today, and of course what I've read the past few months. I would like to see what happens when this team gets into a stadium. Obviously, they're hindered a little bit by what they've got here at Goldstein, and that goes beyond just what's on the field, not being able to sell alcohol and doing some of the other things you can do as a minor league team to make money. But the fans seem to be enjoying it. The team does have some talent. I have to say, plays like that make you think you didn't undersell it, but the truth is that I expected it to be a little bit worse than it is. Independent ball usually is sort of pot luck. Some leagues are decent, some leagues aren't. This league looks decent, so, and I'm impressed with some of the hitters that I've seen so far in Fort Worth that might get a chance at some tryouts here. You never know once the season's over. And of course, in the playoffs, though, I think it'll come down to the arms, and so that's what we'll see.
This one hit long, and that will fall in there. Ortmeyer had to wait and see if the ball would be caught, and he will get a chance to come home, however. Ortmeyer will stay at second base. Wielden will score, and an unearned run for the Cats, depending on how they score. They'll probably give him a double for Ortmeyer.
I would think a double.
But with Wielden, now they're going to give him they will give him an error. So the Cats put together 2 errors and turn it into a run. Each team now with an unearned run. And Ben Fiel, the shortstop, will hit.
Well, clearly some confusion out there in the outfield right away as that ball was hit. So produces a run for Fort Worth to tie this game up. And now let's see if they can keep it going with 1 out and a runner in scoring position once again. A little conference going on here at second base.
It looked like Dan Ramirez just never saw the ball. He was in position to where he could have made the catch, but it looked like he didn't pick it up well out of the light.
I'll tell you what I think they're arguing about after the hit. I don't know if you saw, but rounding first base, there was some difficulty there for Ortmeyer. He ran right into the first baseman, nearly tripped and fell, and might have been at third base had it not been for that, and that may be what the argument is going on.
Ramon Soto making his case.
Probably hoping to get that runner to third, and at the rate things have looked here with the errors, you'd think a wild pitch would score him, and maybe he's got a case, but nonetheless, runner stays at second base.
Gentile, aggressive third base coach, decided not to send him from second. And Ben Fielen will hit. First ball swinging. This could get the run home. Ramirez comes up throwing. He's coming to the plate. That one way too high. Ware backing the play up. Fielen will get to second.
You know, high school football is getting ready to start, and boy, Ortmeyer seems ready for it, doesn't he? That was full contact base running. He hit the first baseman and the catcher in 1 trip around the bags.
Very impressive.
That's not easy to do. Quite impressive, but it gives Fort Worth the lead.
Cats with a safety here early, and they're up 2-1. Juan Infante, the second baseman, will hit.
I'll tell you, that was a good piece of hitting, though, there by by Fea, and just hitting it opposite field. Looked right there between the first baseman and second baseman, saw the hole and took advantage of it.
So Infante comes in hitting .244, has not homered, has driven in 4 runs, and a chance to make up a little bit for his error in the first that let in the Roughnecks only run.
Ware looks in, checks the runner at second, and the pitch home is at the...
Be interesting to know if the Fort Worth Cats are aware that this game really doesn't matter anymore. Initially, this game was going to matter, but then the forfeit caused this game to be meaningless, as we know that Fort Worth will play Baton Rouge. And I'll bet some of the players know, but some of them probably don't know. They may think they're fighting for third place right now.
Yeah, maybe you tell the pitchers and you don't tell the hitters.
I don't think you tell them. If I'm Jim Gentile, I'm not saying a word, because you do want to go in with a little momentum. And that first inning, the defense was shaky. Now, if you get the offense going, usually the defense will come back and be solid for you, and you can go in with a win against a team that Fort Worth has been 6-9 against this season, I believe, Baton Rouge, but have been very close in competitive games. And talking to a couple of players, they wanted to play Baton Rouge. They wanted a shot at #1, and they'll get it.
They don't have to travel as far, which is nice. The other thing that it allows Jim Gentile to do is to juggle his pitching staff the way he wants tonight. Well, he wants to win, but he doesn't have to worry about using up some arms that he might feel like he needs this weekend.
And I think he wanted to find out whether or not Guzmán could go. And if he can, I think he's penciled in as the #3 starter for that third game if necessary. And he's got a couple more innings, I guess, to show. I think he's only going to throw him 3 or 4 innings tonight, not get him too much work. But if he's ready to go, he could pitch that third and deciding game if it goes that far.
The nice thing is they have an off day tomorrow. So if he wants to roll Guzmán out there with some light work tonight, he can. And so far, Guzmán has shown nothing that would lead you to believe that the injury is bothering him.
No, he should be ready to go if they need him.
This is his 13th game against the Roughnecks.
2-2 count to Infante.
RBIs, only 5 hits and 22 trips, and there's a pitch high.
And a full count. Top of the order, Darren Wood waiting on deck.
A lot of local flavor with this team. Darren Wood used to be a TCU Horned Frog before transferring to Alabama, I believe, finishing his career there. And some other folks here that have been near Fort Worth or around this community, either in college or high school, playing on this team.
He and Mark Austrie both on Arlington Heights State Championship team.
1996. The Cinderella run, if you will, that year. I don't think too many folks expected them to do what they did. It was an impressive team. Infante has hung around here, hadn't he? This has been a long at bat.
Yeah, he has. He's fought off a few pitches, chokes up on that bat, and he'll swat off another one.
Well, it's the last game of the season. Might as well get your money's worth here before going into the playoffs.
When you've only got 4 RBI in the season, you want to work as hard as you can to get a couple more up there in the ledger. He has been a spot player somewhat before they made some late season moves that got him in the lineup a little more.
A lot of room in left center if he can get it out there. Good at bat.
He has walked 16 times this season, and despite his .244 average, his on-base percentage coming in at a .370. And now the Cats have 2 runners on as they head back to the top of the order here in the second.
See if Jim Gentile does anything here with 1 out. You know, this is one of those times that, depending on the count, it's a good time for a hit and run or a good time for a double steal to see if you can get yourself out of a double play possibility. Be interested to see if he tries to move these runners along with a 2-1 lead, or if he just tries to see if Wood can power them home, which is certainly possible.
Wood certainly does have some power. He's only hitting .231 this season. He's got some pop. First ball swinging, and the runners will have to return to their bases. Wood leading off tonight, probably more in deference to his speed than his selectiveness at the plate. And Mark Austrie will be the batter. Austrie hit a soft liner to Johnson, the shortstop, in his first trip. Batting here with 2 outs and 2 men on. And also first ball swinging, and he didn't get a good piece of that either. 2 soft hits from Austri, 2 at-bats in a row, and the Cats are out of it, but they take the lead. A couple of unearned runs. We want to say thank you to Richard Durrett for joining us, and good to see you here on CCT again. Reggie Burrell extending his welcome also.
Enjoyed it. Good to see everybody.
We will take a break after 2. It's Fort Worth 2, Tyler 1. You're watching Fort Worth Cats baseball here on CCT.
With no goalies, these shots are easy, but for a lot of kids, reaching their goal is a little tougher. The Mike Madonna Foundation